Hey everybody, welcome back. It's me, Amber Autumn. We're here with our regularly scheduled Magic the Gathering content, which is obviously the thing that you all know that I do here. I have a pretty exciting one for you today because Wizards just unveiled their new Muppets themed set, and I'm an expert. I've been really preparing for this one for a long time. And so I'm really excited to go through and start talking about that. And the first thing that we're going to do today is we're going to go over a tier list, my personal tier list of all of the Planeswalkers that are unveiled in this set. So that's what we're going to do today. It's going to be a tier list. I'm really excited to share it with you guys. So we're going to start with the first and most obvious Planeswalker, Kermit the Frog. Kermit is a really powerful Planeswalker, obviously as a black Planeswalker. He does a lot with undead and like graveyard control, uses a lot of zombie tokens, which I think is a really interesting fit for his characterization in the show in general. He's really, really powerful. I think I'm going to put Kermit in A tier. I think that especially his payoff ability, the big splashy third one, where he turns the entire field into a bunch of frog zombie minions is gonna really change some games on turn 3, I think. Miss Piggy, obviously, direct damage, red Planeswalker, pretty straightforward, kind of exactly what you would expect her to be. Interesting ability in that she does directly counter Kermit, which I would normally expect them to, just like instill in the mechanic somehow, but instead the text on her card just says that if the other player is playing Kermit, you're allowed to get out a gun and shoot them, which I'm interested to hear some legal scholars' takes on the situation, but I think because she occupies such a powerful place in the meta, I'm considering bumping her up to A tier. But I think that I would not expect that a lot of Magic the Gathering players to actually be able to afford a gun. Because instead they will be spending that money on Magic the Gathering. So I think meta-wise, I think I'm gonna dip her down to B tier. Our third Muppet is Fozzie. I'm putting Fozzie in D tier, and I'm being generous about it. The entire card is a joke. I mean that very literally. The entire text of the card is an extended joke, and his payoff ability just says Waka Waka. I'm not entirely sure what Wizards meant to get out of this character, but I'm not personally impressed. For our fourth one, I'm really excited about this one. There's a few Muppets you expect, like you expect to see Kermit and you expect to see Miss Piggy, but who I didn't expect to see, but it makes like a complete sense that they would include him, is Golden Globe award-winning actor and stunt performer Ke Huy Quan. Who, I mean, you gotta have a cameo, don't you? A celebrity cameo, it's the Muppets. And Ke Huy Quan is the one they chose to embody the human role. His card text is also seems to be mechanicless. Like it's just a list of accolades for his acting. There's no mechanical effects. But just look at the guy. S tier, no questions. S tier for me. Next we have Gonzo. Gonzo's a really interesting one. It's difficult to know where to rank Gonzo because the effect that the Gonzo card has, the effect that Gonzo as a Planewalker has, is that he fucks the other character. Next we have Gonzo. Gonzo's a really interesting one. It's kind of hard for me to know where exactly to rank Gonzo. He's a tough one to evaluate, because the effect that the Gonzo card has, is that he fucks the other characters on the board. And it's not 100% clear what that does. It's just the card text says, like, +1, Gonzo fucks the other character. God damn it. Okay, I'm gonna get it. It wasn't 100% clear to everybody what Gonzo fucking them did mechanically, but a lot of the reports from early playtests of the block are that a lot of creatures and planeswalkers have been defecting from their side of the board once they get like a taste of Gonzo's sweet pussy. So next we have Dark Miss Piggy. It's our second Miss Piggy of the set. They don't usually print two Planeswalkers who are like the same Planeswalker twice in a set, but it makes sense that they would warrant an exception for Miss Piggy. So Dark Miss Piggy, as she is known to differentiate herself from regular Miss Piggy, is her text is exactly the same as regular Miss Piggy, except that at the end of every ability it says bitch, A tier. Dark Miss Piggy is shortly followed by Darker Miss Piggy. Darker Miss Piggy is just like the other Miss Piggies, except her like signature final ability, instead of being about shooting Kermit with a gun, it allows you to tell the other players at the table all the things that they have in common with all the people who have hurt them the most in their life. I'm going to put this at D tier. It has won every single game that it's ever been used in, but the spiritual cost is just way too high. Next we have Amber Autumn Fabric. I was really excited about this one, obviously, for a lot of reasons. I thought this was going to be a really powerful character, but then I ran her in a game against a Gonzo, and the less said about that, the better. So we're just going to put her in C tier right there. All right, next we have... sorry, that's my P alarm. You get... I get so hyper-focused in these things. Like, I gotta set alarms to meter out my, like, biological needs, because if I don't set something to break me out of it, I'll never remember to drink my piss. So next we have Big Dick Richie's Shoggoth Penis. What do you think, Evangeline? Is this video too dumb? Should I stop? Next we have Big Dick Richie's Shoggoth Penis. Big Dick Richie's Shoggoth Penis is a really interesting one. This, of course, being the penis of the character Big Dick Richie from the critically underappreciated 2015 road trip film Magic Mike XXL. It's an interesting card because Big Dick Richie's Shoggoth Penis is intended to be actual size. It's printed on cardstock that is proportional to the actual penis in question. And that penis is so gargantuan that it would push all the other cards off of the table. And in fact, were such a card ever printed, the mass of that amount of cardstock would actually collapse in on itself, spontaneously becoming a black hole, sucking up and destroying not just that game of Magic the Gathering, but in fact all of Magic the Gathering as an entire concept, ending the entire thing forever. Which I kind of want to put it in S tier for, because it would handily get you out of any losing situation. But unfortunately, not enough cardstock exists in the world to actually print such a thing, and so it is physically impossible for this card to actually make it to print, so I am going to lower it down to A tier. Next we have Jose Belirin. It's a weird one. I don't really know how this fits in with the rest of the like the whole world of Magic the Gathering, honestly. It's sort of an odd one out. Like, it's something to do with, like, card draw and tutoring. I'm not really sure what's happening with this character, and I can't really find any particular synergies that already exist, but also, you know, the community hasn't really had its time to sink into this one, so I'm going to put it in C and see what happens to it. Next, we have a mint first edition holographic Charizard card with a misprinted hit point counter. The meta has actually left this card behind in a lot of ways. It's a reprint from a much earlier time, and it used to be really, really important in the set. The game has advanced a lot since then, which has dropped its rank substantially, but the card does make you irresistible to women, which is almost as good as winning a game of Magic the Gathering. I'm going to put it in B tier. All right, and our last Planeswalker is kind of an interesting one, because the last Planeswalker that we have on our list is, of course, Light Side Miss Piggy. And Light Side Miss Piggy, I'm going to put in fully in S tier, because her signature effect, it kind of looks unimpressive on paper, but what she does is she asks everybody who plays her and everybody who plays against her to... she gives them each a set of coordinates and asks them all to go to that spot in their local city and dump 1 gallon of water onto the ground. which doesn't do a whole lot the first time you play the game, but over repeated playthroughs, you find that the coordinate she gives differs every time. And so over the course of a few dozen games with Miss Piggy, you end up with this little torrent of water around the course of your city that's gouged in like specific and interesting intersecting patterns, which from a bird's eye view actually tend to very much resemble Miss Piggy's face. And what that does is it irrigates the land such that the natural water around flows in a particular direction to like unsettle natural mineral deposits in the ground, to insert them into the town water supply, which can cause subtle but real psychological effects on the population of the town as they drink the drinking water, which causes them to undergo a particular psychological phenomenon that asks for them to lobby for more cards put into production. And at that point, the cards shift their coordinates so that that's happening on a mass scale, so that instead of on the scale of cities, it's happening across continents. So you end up with these huge man-made rivers as hundreds and thousands of people end up bucketing water into these huge channels, which undergo massive seismic changes in the earth, which fundamentally unearth chemicals that change the chemical composition of the very oceans themselves, which concoct a specific chemical composition to allow the glaciers to melt at a particular rate, which causes an explosive force underneath the glaciers, which cause them to skyrocket out over the entire earth, blasting shards into civilization and natural feature alike. A particularly large chunk flies directly into the moon, leaving a crater in the shape of Miss Piggy's face. The gravitational destabilization sends the moon spiraling into the earth. They collide in a massive explosion, which propels us out into the sun, the resulting chemical confluence of which causes the sun to supernova in a particular and unusual way that's never been seen before, sensing collapse into a unique black hole, again never before or since seen, which serves as an icon, a pillar, a beacon for billions of years, reaching out into the stars, every alien civilization that'll ever exist, all with a great pilgrimage towards the center of this black hole in the shape of Miss Piggy's face, as a warning to everyone who has ever been and everyone who will be, and everyone stares at the crater where the Earth was, where the galaxy was, in awe, and all will like, comment, and